Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Random Chatter Reviews. We have our full cast tonight. We have Lizzie, Eric, Tim, and myself. Lizzie, how are you?
I'm good. I have cat baby.
Is she there?
She had to think about it for a minute, didn't she?
There was that long pause.
I'm barely alive.
Well, it's good to
good.
have you here. We're going to talk about all of our watching habits that we've done doing the last couple of weeks or so. But good to have you here with us. Tim, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to getting into, randomly chattering about things.
Nice. It's good. It's a good show for it. So you're in the right
Ladies
place.
and gentlemen, our new branding manager, Tim.
Oh.
I hope you're not talking about me.
Randomly chattering about things.
And of course, that brings us to Eric. Eric, how are you?
I was doing okay up until that.
Until that debacle?
Yeah, okay. No, I'm good. I speaking of debacle, I just have to say, we get a lot of feedback on our episodes when there's any kind of controversy or disagreement, and I can tell you guys right now, don't cut out yet. Stick around because there's about to be what may be an epic throwdown here in a few minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm on edge of my seat now.
An epic throwdown.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's get right to it. So this is a show we talk about what we've been watching lately and what is worth you guys watching as well. So we will kind of give you our take on, yay or nay. I think the thumbs up, thumbs down things been done by other people, but something like that.
Yes, but we have more thumbs.
There's four of us? Four of us. Yeah.
I thought you were counting thumbs, in which case you would have been just as off as saying 5, but yeah.
Very worried.
Well, let's start with Lizzie. Lizzie, what have you been watching lately?
Oh gosh, I've been on a roller coaster of watching.
Uh-oh.
I started off like maybe a week and a half ago with female musician documentaries because of the Framing Britney Spears thing, and then I watched the Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix, and then the Dixie Chicks, and then Whitney Houston, which then led to Robin Williams, which led to a Robin Williams vortex, which was very healing because I don't think I've ever processed his death. So it was very
It's hard.
good. But
Like that of any celebrity death, like that one has been the hardest for me.
Yep.
The hardest. That one and Whitney for me are linked because I've never been upset about a celebrity death except for those two. And Chadwick Boseman, I will say, I add to the list because his really shocked me and in the meeting and everything. But and then I went on a very deep dive into cult documentaries because I watched that one about NXIVM called The Vow on
Which
HBO,
one? Okay, The Vow. Yep.
The Vow. Yep.
There's another one on that's really good too.
I watched it. It's on Stars. It's about the Catherine Oxenberger saving her daughter India, who, by the way, is Princess Elizabeth's daughter.
Yes.
Prince Charles' cousin. Hilarious.
Yes.
I mean, not hilarious.
Wow.
It was horrible.
Not at all hilarious, but hilarious. Yeah.
Not hilarious, but cool. I mean, it's amazing that she was able to use her connection to the crown to pull strings to help get India out of the cult. But that guy is in jail for 120 years and good riddance to awake the key. May he never see the light of day or feel the touch of another woman because holy Moses, he's disgusting.
There were a lot of good,
creepy.
Both of those were good documentaries, and there are a lot of Bonnie Place played Beru Lars in the prequels, Star Wars prequels. It's got one of the actresses from Battlestar Galactica. Allison Mack is one of the people who kind of helped orchestrate the whole thing. She was from the was it Adventures of Lois and Clark, or was it Smallville? Smallville,
Allison Mack, yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of names that people recognize.
And I don't know if you said this when I cut out, but Bonnie from episode 1.
Yeah, that was the first one I listed. Yep.
Oh yeah, sorry. I cut out for a minute.
No, that's fine. I mean, but very good documentary.
It's a really good documentary. It was just also just so enraging. I was so mad for 4 days because the first one I thought it was only 4 parts. So I was like, okay, 4 hours of my life. I'm going to watch this thing. It was 9. And I was like, well, now I'm
Lizzie, but wait. They're doing a second season.
I know. I saw that about the trial and everything, which whatever. I just needed to know that he was put away for 120 years. I'm good. And he is, so fine. And then I was like, you know what I really need is something light and enjoyable. So I started rewatching The Mindy Project, which I never actually finished when it went over to Hulu. So it was on Fox with New Girl for a while. They were back to back, and I loved New Girl and Mindy Project. And then Mindy Project went over to Hulu, and I just lost it, and they messed up my favorite couple, and I was mad at it. So I punished the show as I do. And then I was like,
I'm sure they felt that punishment.
They felt it for sure. I know that they did.
Yeah.
And so it was wonderful to rewatch it. And I rediscovered my love for Ike Barinholtz. I adore him. Chris Messina is officially the fourth Chris. Don't nobody come at me or contradict that. That's just facts. And then, so yeah, it really is just a funny and delightful show. And they ended it like really well, given how like season 5 and 6 really like diverted a lot of things that I was hoping to see. And they wrapped it up so beautifully. And it was so much lighter and happier and funner than like cult documentary.
Well,
so,
most things
that's my journey of television.
Wow. You know, I haven't seen any of the NXIVM stuff aside from a little bit I saw on, was it Dateline or something recently?
Okay.
And I feel like I want to watch it though. I feel like I want to see what it's all about because it's so horrific to listen to the bits and pieces I've heard. I'm like,
it's amazing to me how
it's like a train wreck. I want to watch more of it.
So you look at stuff like, and when I said this in Discord, when this conversation came up, somebody called me out on it, and I realized I had to be really careful with my wording on this, because if you look at something like Scientology, which in my opinion, so don't sue me, in my opinion, is based on some just ridiculous concepts. Okay. And then you take NXIVM, which the concepts introduced are as part of the organization as a whole. And a lot of the stuff where they get into like the really super culty things was like a subgroup within the larger group. But the larger group as a whole is based on actual like business practices and psychology and self-help and developmental things. Like it's based on actual practices that are widely accepted within these industries. And you had like big business people and celebrities and stuff like that coming to that as a way to deal with, your own dealing with your fears and becoming more confident in yourself and being able to like tackle big things. And it's interesting how you can take something where you have legitimate concepts at the base level of it, but then take it and shape it into something that's so twisted and addictive. And you're taking cult practices and applying it to those initial things to get people in the door, almost like a bait and switch sort of thing. And it's amazing. And the guy who does the vow, like one of the main focuses, actually the two, I guess, main people, I don't want to say characters, but the two main people in this documentary are two of the founding members of this. And the one guy is like, I can't believe, I mean, this is 2019, this is 2020. How is this happening?
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions about cults is that like weak-minded, dumb people get pulled into them. And that's just not true. They go after smart people. That's how you recruit more people. You don't like get the lowest common denominator.
In one of the later episodes, the guy I'm referring to says, nobody joins a cult. You join a group that you believe is doing good things. You join a group that you believe is going to help you and to help other people in society around you. When you join something that's good, at least to the best of your knowledge. And then you find out after the fact that you were suckered. Nobody goes and says, I'm going to join a cult today, and goes and joins a cult. And it's mind blowing.
No, that is totally how it happens.
I don't mean with Tim. I just want to point out, Tim lives up in the area where all this stuff happened.
Someone say,
his hair is too short.
Truly, the NXIVM building, I drove by it twice a day for years.
Yeah,
it was literally blocks away from my house, just outside Albany. Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, it was really well done documentary, but it also really like highlights the victim oppressor relationship, and also like where does that line begin? Because India was very much a victim, but she was also doing the things to the slaves underneath her. So it's very difficult to separate. Where does Allison Mack's relationship with the oppressor begin, and her relationship as the oppressor begin? Because she was instrumental in a lot of things, but there's just a bigger conversation about the victim oppressor relationship.
Right.
And in India, Oxenberger got a lot of hate afterwards, after she was, got out of the cult and started to look at her life and be like, how could this have happened to me? And people were just hating on her. And she really was 100% a victim of a situation. Now, does that completely absolve her of responsibility in that? Absolutely not. But there's a bigger conversation about that I thought was very interesting, and it really got me thinking about the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that's really the point. Like, I would recommend people watch this because it's eye-opening how something like this can happen, and the process by which this whole thing turned into what it was. And I think, therefore, it's not just watching a train wreck. It's not just something like Tiger King or something like that. Like, there's an educational aspect of this too, sociologically speaking, that I think is important and that people need to really consider.
Well, and I think it's a danger of our entire culture that we would think, that would never happen to me. I'm too strong.
Right.
Well, when you watch this and you see the people that do get sucked into it, you'd realize that you don't know as much as you think, and you don't know how a person you trust can manipulate you. And that's where it begins, is with trust. And that's what he was great at doing, is manipulating and building trust. That's what charismatic cult leaders are good at.
Right.
Honestly, that's their best characteristic.
So never trust anybody except Lou. Well, that's why I send him a check every week.
Haven't gotten a check in a while.
Cannot be cool because they have to have long, gross, stringy hair like Jared Leto,
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, boy. Well, that is definitely something I want to dive into at some point, though. But yeah, I got to be in the right mind frame for it, because I'm afraid it's going to depress me too much.
Yeah, you know what you got to do is watch it when you're really pissed and you want to lean into that feeling. Because I was so mad last weekend, and it just let me get off of some of that steam of being mad, and it sort of rooted me into a different thing. So I like to watch things that piss me off when I'm mad even more, and then it takes me into a new direction.
I think maybe everybody's different.
I'm mad about that.
Lou, and maybe, yeah.
You don't want to fuel that fire in some people.
Not in Lizzie. Oh my gosh, that's scary. Just hearing your talk about it.
Oh boy.
Only if you're like me.
Well, yeah, I just need to remember never to piss Lizzie off.
There you go.
Yeah.
No.
So Lizzie, was anything? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I say, anything else you've been watching besides creepy documentaries?
No, I literally just finished Mindy Project yesterday, and it sent me on Ike Barinholtz and Mindy Kaling separately, because they're not really in much else together, but vortexes. So I watched A Wrinkle in Time, and I watched Neighbors and Neighbors 2, accidental whoops, because Ike Barinholtz was in them. Gross, but I had to. So
okay.
And I watched Pictures with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, which was actually very funny, and he's so cute in it. I cannot even. Okay, there you go.
You cut out. What was the thing with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler? Sisters. Okay. By the way, they are hosting the Golden Globes as we speak right now.
That's right.
So we do not have news on the Golden Globes tonight.
Not together, but together, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought John Boyega won, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat room informed us of that when we were doing Force Chatter, and we were very happy about that. I want to know, we'll get to this later, but I'm really curious about who wins Best Television Drama, because there were a lot of good things. I mean, Ozark, I don't think The Mandalorian's going to win, but The Mandalorian was up there. I think Queen's Gambit, I think maybe was one of them.
I think so.
A lot of really strong candidates in that one. That's the one race I want to watch. But anyway, that's a different
a different topic entirely. But yeah, I did like this morning the way the news was saying that, the streaming stuff, the online things have a good chance of winning some big awards tonight. I'm like, Yeah, because there was nothing else but
That's
streaming stuff.
the only
Yeah,
way to
okay,
watch
yeah.
stuff. Even the Golden Globes themselves are streaming.
Right.
Yeah.
Tim, what have you been up to?
Let's see. Well, I really at the top of my list just has to be WandaVision because it continues to be absolutely incredible. This past this past week's episode. Well, I know you watched it, Liz, because we talked about it for an hour yesterday on MCU TV.
Everything else is WandaVision is like the main thing, and everything else is on top of that.
True. Exactly. So yeah, I basically, if you want to hear us talk about WandaVision, go over to MCU TV. The episode is up, and just such a great episode. It gives a lot of like really, really relevant backstory, and it's told so well. New stuff. I'm going to jump right into the thing that I know Eric
The thing that
wants
Lou
to-
skipped when we did like the joint picks first, and then we go person by person.
Oh, I skipped over because I didn't. I was like,
Actually, we should have put WandaVision up there too.
Probably.
Yeah.
So
Gonna add that now,
the
just 'cause I'm
brand
OCD.
new, just released on HBO Max movie of Tom and Jerry.
Like yesterday, right? Was it yesterday?
Yeah, like yesterday, or the
Friday,
day before,
Saturday,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I saw an ad for that, and I remember seeing the trailer, and I thought, okay, next. But yeah,
Lou,
go
I
ahead,
can
Tim.
tell you the trailer did not represent the film very well.
Okay.
So I gotta say, I thought it was a fun film. It's one of those movies that's done in the style of, you have your animated characters and they're in a real world. The story was pretty good. It was fun. I mean, they brought in a lot of the like traditional Tom and Jerry types of tropes, but there were also a lot of pop culture references, some a little more heavy-handed, some a little more subtle, that were in it. It was good. It was good. Surprisingly, my like, I think the first time my wife saw the trailer for it, she's like, "I really want to watch that." I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay."
Was she
And
drinking?
so, no. So
I wish I had been.
the day it came out, we were on it. Yeah, Eric,
Oh, I'm excited to watch.
you should watch it, Lizzie. You definitely should.
Lizzie, I'm going to see if I can fix that for you.
No, I'm gonna watch it. I'm
Lou,
really gonna watch it.
when I said that, you said you watched the trailer and you're like, oh, okay, next. And I said that the trailer did not really represent the film well. The trailer made it look like it was at least maybe worth having on in the background, like it might be okay.
Wow.
It was not. It was not. So I pulled up Flickchart.
Wow. Okay.
I had an error when I was trying to rank it in Flickchart. Like it would get all the way up to the end and then it would stop. And I wanted to rank this thing so bad to see where it fell on my list that I had to do it 7 times. And then I realized that it was erroring out at the very end because it basically almost had nowhere else to go. Of the 1,865 movies I have ranked on my Flickchart, so a little under 2,000, 860. That can't be right because this is 864. 864 movies. Now, this is not entirely accurate because I need to reshuffle like my worst movies, but it's currently ranked 1,863. It beat out 2001:
Wow.
A Space Odyssey.
It can't possibly be that bad for you.
No, it's not. It's not because like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, Napoleon Dynamite, Samantha Darko, and Grease. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton one with Johnny Depp. Like those need to be bumped down below it. So this is not entirely accurate, but I'm going to say like out of 18, yeah,
Grease?
dude, that was horrible. Anyway,
Yeah.
1,864 movies. I'm going to say it's at least 1,850 or lower. It was Lou.
Okay.
It was, if you take
It was
every
not
trope, so the tropes from Tom and Jerry worked back in the 1950s or something when it came out. But watching them try to do it now, every one of them was heavy-handed. And I'm not talking about today's pop culture references, which, by the way, were also heavy-handed. Like, when I mean heavy, I mean, like, you know how the Vision can change the density of his... I'm talking, like, the density of a black hole level of gravitational force of heaviness. Those were heavy-handed, but also just the old references to the Tom and Jerry gags were heavy-handed. The plot was ridiculously juvenile, and I get, okay, it's probably targeted for kids, and that's fine. So I'll give the plot a pass, except that the plot referenced so many grown-up concepts like getting cold feet about a marriage, but not really like cold feet, like, oh, I'm nervous, I don't want to do this. More like, I think I'm just maybe not really in love with you after all. And like that whole, like so many adult, like things only adults would understand the concepts of why the characters were doing the things they were doing that became the conflict that the main characters had to resolve. It would go right over the kids' heads. And yet all of the slapsticky stuff, like even my son, I'm going to have him watch this because I want his opinion on it. But even he, I think, would be just bored with how bland and like just eye rolling this stuff was. And then Chloe Moretz, who I don't have a problem with as an actress, every time she had to interact one-on-one with any of the characters, it was her talking, because Tom and Jerry don't speak, even though all of the other animated animals do. It was like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, okay, yeah, go get that mouse. Go get him. Show him who's... Like constantly talking over top of whatever the scene was, making it like breaking the fourth wall with how obvious it was that the director wanted there to be some kind of dialogue. It was so unnatural.
I will say a lot of that was awkward.
Yeah.
And
like really,
yeah,
just, like cringy awkward.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. I know we disagree on it. I appreciate you agreeing with that point, because I think like really that, as far as the craftsmanship of the film, that really could have been a lot better, and it would have been an easy fix to just let it focus more on the Tom and Jerry character in those moments, and you don't have to have filler dialogue.
Right.
But it was like they couldn't have any dead air with the dialogue, and there were a lot of moments where they needed to, and a lot of that fell on Chloe Moretz, almost all of it. And it just wasn't something that either she was prepared to do or that the script really allowed her to do, or it almost felt like she was kind of ad-libbing and filling time on her own at some points. And it didn't work. And so I also I didn't like the story overall. Like it got worse and dumber and dumber and dumber as it went along for me. I'm really stretching to try to, I mean, what were the last movies that we did on Movie Chatter where I just like really disliked something? I mean, even Uncut Gems was so much better than this. Like at least,
oh my God.
No, but at least like that, it was like it happened in the real world. So sort of thing. It wasn't fun and I'd never want to watch it again, but at least I could respect that. Okay. Like that could be a real thing. This was just so bad. Like, and I get it's for kids, even in kids context, it's bad.
Yeah, I'll probably see this at some point, but I mean, the problem I had with the trailer is the trailer looks like such a departure from what the television series was when I remember watching them as a kid, both the ones that were from the early, the 40s and 50s, and the new ones that were in like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel the same.
It had all the slapstick, but none of the heart. And the slapstick didn't have the same context.
Yeah, I from the trailer, I'll agree with you on that. The slapstick didn't feel the same.
No, because you were trying to put it in the real world. The reason the slapstick works in classic cartoons like that is because it's cartoony. Everything around them is a cartoon. Someone pulls an anvil out of a bag, and it's a cartoon. But here we are in like a real world environment, literally the real world around you, and these two cartoons acting cartoon. It just doesn't.
The only thing that worked well in, I think, was Roger Rabbit.
So it worked in Roger Rabbit. And I'm actually going to backtrack. And I've been... What was that, Lizzie?
And Space Jam.
See, I didn't like Space Jam at all. I hated Space Jam, but I respect the fact that it was done well. It just wasn't for me. And that's different from Tom and Jerry. I will even backtrack on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, as I've done several times, because when I went back for a second viewing, I realized that really wasn't that bad. And like, I'm not at all upset that they're doing a sequel. And I think that like that was a story, a few plot holes, but like that was a story that worked. And if you had to choose between kind of a live action with some animated stuff between Sonic the Hedgehog and Tom and Jerry. Like, that's not even a competition. Sonic the Hedgehog is so far beyond.
Okay.
I cannot. I'm glad Tim liked it. I'm surprised that Tim liked it. What did Robin think? I kind of want to do this on Movie Chatter. What did Robin think?
I mean, she enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think, you know, the point you made about the challenge of acting with an animated character, particularly one that doesn't really have any dialogue. I think that definitely was a big thing.
Yeah.
I actually had to look back through Chloe Moretz's filmography to see, because like I've known the name for a while, for maybe a couple of years, but I couldn't ever place that I saw her in anything. Mm-hmm. The Dark Shadows movie in 2012. I think that's the only thing I've ever seen her in.
See, I've seen her. I didn't see her in that. I've seen her in Neighbors 2. Did you not see the movie where she played Hit Girl? The comic book, the really violent comic book, super
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass 2. You didn't see those?
Oh, she was in that? Really?
Yeah, she played played Hit Girl.
She kind of got a big break.
Oh,
yeah.
Like,
That was her,
like her bigger.
Yeah, that was where she got started.
Thing. Literally just watched her in Neighbors 2. Yeah.
Yep, Neighbors 2. She was in The Fifth Wave.
I wouldn't have even thought that she'd be old enough to have been in that.
I mean, that was kind of the controversial thing about it, is she was pretty young at the time.
Okay.
Young, yeah.
I mean, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, she hasn't really stood out in very much. Like, she's okay. She's an okay actress. She's not bad, but she's okay.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against her. I mean, she was fine. You know, cute actress. She was funny. I guess she was fine for the part that she was in. I wasn't really wowed by her. But no, I actually I completely understand the points you made about the, like, is it a kid's movie or isn't it type of thing. And I had never thought of that until you brought it up, and it actually kind of, as a potential answer to that, and I'm not saying it's right, I guess maybe it kind of seems in a way that the movie was almost done for us,
and that's fair,
grew up watching Tom and Jerry, and we're adults, so we can get those themes, but still not completely. That's if that was the case, then the execution was not good.
And that's my point. Like
yeah.
If you aimed it in one direction, it needed to fix plot elements. If you aimed it in the other direction, it needed to fix some, like, not that there's anything wrong with silliness, but like the silliness was just so, really, like, okay, like, obviously, like it just, so you had to pick one or the other, and it didn't blend the two together at all.
Text from my wife: The Mandalorian just lost to The Crown.
Okay. Of all of the things for the best drama category to win, that was the one thing I was hoping would not, because I love all of the other things in that category, and I have zero interest in The Crown, and it won. I think, again, like, it's won. But
it's getting so much play, though. I mean, it was kind of expected.
I know, but like, let something else win.
I know. Yeah.
That's such a good show, though.
Fair enough. I'm not dissing the show.
Yeah,
we just hopeful
did
for
hijack what you were talking about there. So why don't you finish up with what you've been viewing?
All right. Aeon Flux, which amazingly I had never seen before.
The movie Aeon Flux, or the animated series, or the animated shorts?
The movie with Charlize Theron. I think it was actually probably the only movie of Charlize Theron's that I've never seen before.
Better than Tom and Jerry.
It was fine. It was fine. It wasn't great. It held my attention. But yeah, it was fine.
If you ever find the animated series, or better yet, the animated shorts that appeared on Liquid Television, the shorts are just gold. They're awesome.
Yeah,
the animated series, like the half-hour episodes, those were also good. Both were better than the movie, but Tim, if you ever come across those, I suggest you check them out.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen Airplane Repo?
No.
No.
Never heard of it.
No.
Didn't even know it was a thing. Yeah.
Lou, in particular, with you being an aviator, I think you would have a lot of appreciation for this.
Okay.
Now, I have it listed as new, and it's only because I think I watched maybe a couple episodes of it like many moons ago. But finally a few nights ago, it happened to be on, and Robin and I, went through like several. I think it's on Discovery maybe. And the show is a lot of fun, and so truly it is mostly airplanes. I guess once in a while they say that there's like yachts or something in there.
Okay.
That they're getting, but these are legit repo people, paid by banks to, hey, look, Lou has an airplane and he hasn't paid for it in 2.5 years. We think he is, there, uses, this airport or whatever, go get it. And it does kind of floor me because these guys will actually, like, they're violating FAA laws because they're breaking into airports, which is that in and of itself is wild.
That's a little sketchy.
And, yeah. And then they're finding the aircraft, and they're leaving with the aircraft. And this is everything from little Cessnas to crop dusters to like, some really, really nice, like high-end executive jets and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Sometimes they actually end up getting into confrontations with the owners, the police, that kind of stuff. It's a reality show, but they even admit that, hey, look, we sometimes insert like actors in there and cut those scenes in to dramatize it or to better tell the story, because while they're like, running away from the owner and there's a camera person with them, that camera person isn't stopping to talk to the owner who, right. has a shotgun, isn't in the mood to have a conversation. It's fun. It really, it's a lot of fun. It's
now, I'll say this. It seems a little sketchy to me when you have, something you gotta heist a plane. Basically, it's you're going in quickly to get this, and you're not gonna have time to do your whole pre-flight check. I'm just thinking
they are like legit. These guys are adamant because they know. And there are times that they will come across an aircraft that like it fails something on the pre-flight, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't take this aircraft. It is not safe to fly."
I was going to say, I would not want to jump into a plane that I haven't done a thorough pre-flight inspection on, because that just seems really, really sketchy to me. I mean, it's one thing to jump in a car and take off down the road and find out, oh, we're out of gas, or the brakes aren't that great.
Yep. Yeah, so I recommend it. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Okay.
Things that I've recently watched again. Empire Strikes Back was actually just earlier today. A couple nights ago, we watched Shrek. Shrek is always good for a rewatch. And Limitless, the movie.
Oh, good movie.
Yeah, love that movie. It happened to be on TNT or something.
I still have never seen either that nor the television series.
Oh, yeah, those need to be on your list.
Yeah, the movie's fantastic. The series is good, too.
Yeah. And to me, the series is like a Firefly. Like, them canceling it after one season is just like...
Yeah.
I don't understand how it's even possible.
So much potential in there. That
Yeah. Let's see. Ongoing BattleBots, of course. Books. Last week
we can't talk about the playoffs for BattleBots right now, Lou. This last week's episode.
No, it hurts.
It hurts.
It does.
It does. This was bad. This was a bad week for Tim and I.
I totally disagreed with that call they made there, but yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Last week with Eric, I mentioned that I started a book called Roman Disasters. I'm about halfway through that. And then comics, probably the most notable comic I've been reading is one called Executive Assistant. And this is one that came up on Comixology as just a recommended kind of thing. It's done by Aspen Comics. It's a few years old, and they actually have a number of different series of Executive Assistant. Kind of fun. These are it's like a La Femme Nikita type of thing, or a Black Widow kind of thing, where you end up with a bunch of like young girls that they pull off the street. They train them up in etiquette and how to assassinate people. And then they are, fundamentally, they're kind of in slavery, because then they are then sold to people who then utilize them for those talents. They create a really interesting universe with it. I had picked up an omnibus, which was maybe 6 issues or something. Yeah, fun read. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to read more of it, but it was pretty good. It was. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad it came up as a recommendation. So it was good. Yeah, decent story. Good art. I like their storytelling, like the writing. So cool. That's all I got.
Very good. Very good. Eric, what about you?
Well, with this new job I've started, I've been kind of brain dead by the time I get home every day, because I've just been like, the training has been a lot like drinking out of a fire hose. And
that's always fun.
I'm encouraged by the fact that I'm told I'm doing very well with it, but it doesn't make it any less like brain numbing. So I haven't watched a whole lot. We mentioned Tom and Jerry, and I've been keeping up with WandaVision, obviously. I did watch a movie that we are going to be covering on Movie Chatter this week called I Care a Lot. And the title doesn't really do anything for you. And if you look at kind of like the picture when it comes up on Netflix, it doesn't really do anything for you. Watch the trailer. You know how Netflix, when like something comes up on the home screen, after about 2 to 3 seconds, it starts playing the trailer automatically right there in the interface.
Very annoying, but yeah.
It is very annoying. But I do have to say, if I hadn't have sat through that trailer, I would never watch this movie. And I like this movie. I'm curious what you and Robin are going to have to say Tuesday night when we record this on Movie Chatter. It was good. I can't talk too much about it right now because we are going to cover it on that show, but I will say that it was an interesting, kind of a dark, psychological cat and mouse sort of game, and I would highly recommend it. It just recently came out on Netflix. I think it's still number 1 on Netflix right now. You know how they do their top 10? It's been at number 1 pretty much since it came out. Really good stuff. And it's got Peter Dinklage, and I love Peter Dinklage, especially when he's a bad guy. And so there was that. Just before recording tonight, we talked a few weeks ago on Random Chatter on the news show about the Punky Brewster remake. There are 10 episodes that are available right now on Peacock. And I watched the pilot episode. The first 2 to 3 minutes, I said, never again. I will never watch this again. This is horrible. As the episode went on, I got to appreciate it a little bit better. And I respect the show now. I might check out a few more episodes just to see how they do with it. And I looked through the episode descriptions through all 10 episodes through the finale. And I like where they're going with the storylines, and it's probably going to be pretty good. And it's got Freddie Prinze Jr. in it, which doesn't hurt. They don't overuse the laugh track like a lot of the sitcoms and stuff from the 90s, but they did in the first 5 minutes. And I'd rather them not use a laugh track at all. But wow, it made that first 5 minutes really rough. This very much feels like a late 90s style sitcom. I don't know how well it's going to hold up overall, but it wasn't bad either. If you grew up in that era, it's worth checking out. If you didn't, it still might be worth checking out. It's got some deep storyline to it, about family and abandonment issues and things like that. So a lot of the stuff the characters are going through, I'll give them credit for this. It's very relevant and it's very up to date and current as far as what it seems like people are going through on a day-to-day basis in their lives today. So that's good. There is some good writing on it. So there's that. I watched a documentary, and I wish I remembered to put down what streaming service it was on, and I don't remember, but it's on one of the free ones. It's called Too Funny to Fail. It's about the Dana Carvey show. Dana Carvey, after he left Saturday Night Live, he had his own late night skit show on primetime. And
very unfortunately,
it aired right after Home Improvement, when Home Improvement was at its peak. And it was the wrong transition from one thing into another thing. Like it was so bad. So this whole documentary is all about the failure of this show. But it was, the whole thing is just Dana Carvey, Steve Carell, Stephen Colbert, because they were both like, their careers began through this show almost. It's got Louis C.K. And it's got some other people in there too. But a lot of the interview content, it's all Dana Carvey, Steve Carell, and Stephen Colbert about just the failure of the show and what went wrong, and them just kind of like, yeah, it was just a big bunch of suckage. But it was,
the failure of the show is that Dana Carvey is not funny.
He can be in certain things.
Ever.
Dana Carvey is funny in certain things.
Right. I agree, Eric. But he's also he's an acquired taste. He's one of those actors that, it's like Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
He's good in some things, but other things I'm like, no, it's just no, not funny at all.
Yeah.
But
skit comedy in general is rough for me too, because like I'll watch Key and Peele, but there's a solid third of the stuff that I'll just fast forward through. Because, and some of it's the more popular skits, and I'm just like, oh, this isn't for me. But then the other 2/3, it's like, oh, this is amazing. And that's probably the highest ratio of like to dislike of any skit comedy I've seen. Saturday Night Live, I can sometimes go back to the older stuff and it's okay, but like it has to age about 10 years at any given point in SNL before I appreciate it. And even then, like maybe half of it. Anyway, that's not the point. The point, though, is Too Funny to Fail. The documentary is good. And if for no other reason, then it is Dana Carvey, Steve Carell, and Stephen Colbert being honest about their failures. And it does kind of paint an interesting portrait of how you go from like the peak of your, like everybody was all about Dana Carvey, to then just your career crashing overnight. The network just not understanding the nature of a show. Like it also demonstrates the network's penchant for grabbing a name, saying, hey, he's popular here, we're going to shove him in your face without any concept of what to actually do with the content. So that was interesting. It's good stuff. Even if you hate Dana Carvey, it's good stuff.
Okay.
Watch the documentary. And that's about it. I've been rewatching Mythic Quest kind of in the background as I've been playing World of Warcraft, because also I've been playing World of Warcraft. And I love Mythic Quest. Like it's the best thing on Apple TV Plus.
Okay, I've yet to watch that. I have not. Yeah, I gotta get time to watch that.
Yeah, it's especially if you've ever done any sort of online gaming in any way. It's good. The writing's good. The actors are good. I mean, it's a sitcom, so take it not like a laugh track type sitcom, but like Office or Community or whatever. And season 2 is coming out very, very shortly. If not this month, then next month. I thought it was March though. I don't know. I'll check into it. That's it. Okay. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I've got a lot on my list here, but I haven't been watching a lot. I did finally finish.
How does that work? How do you have a lot on your list, but you haven't really been doing any of it?
Bits and pieces here and there. So
okay.
I don't know. I haven't been really in depth in any one thing. I did finish up season 3 of Discovery.
And what'd you think?
Which I'm glad I did. I mean, I had to get through season 2, and season 2 started off really strong, and then kind of towards the end kind of fell apart on me. But season 3 I thought was very well done. In fact, as soon as I get done watching, I'm like, please tell me they renewed for season 4, and it is. So the season 4 is being worked on now, and I'm looking forward to that because I like where they went with it. I like the fact that it's not dealing with the same stuff we dealt with in all the other Star Trek series over the years. So it's kind of new ground, which I think is fantastic. I've been watching some stuff for Movie Chatter. We're going to be doing Rebecca coming up probably in the next couple of weeks here. Both the 2020 version and the 1940 version.
Oh, I forgot.
What?
Something.
Did you forget? Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So Snowpiercer is another thing I've been catching up on. Did you see the last episode of it, Lou?
No, I'm actually 2 episodes behind on Snowpiercer at the moment. So, I'm kind of glad I am because of what you said. Yeah.
I'm watching Snowpiercer. And in this week's episode, there are a couple of characters who are sitting around and the alarm goes off that the book club's about to start. And they're reading Rebecca, the book that is covering both this movie that I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. And then I kind of suckered myself into watching the original Alfred Hitchcock version from 1940. Totally not my thing, but I thought, well, what the heck, I'll do it anyway. And so the alarm goes off and the one character says, oh crap, we got to go. I haven't finished the book. And the other character says, like the equivalent of Vader's Luke's father, the Death Star blows up at the end, let's go. What? Like they spoiled the end of the book, and I'm like, of all the things to watch, I'm thinking Snowpiercer is probably safe. This show that
forever
takes in place in a post-apocalyptic. Yeah, that's what Carrie said, Lizzie. But I don't read books that have been out forever.
Okay, well, I'm just saying you don't really have a leg to stand on that one.
Yeah,
It's not even if the book were like the #1 best-selling book right now, it's not the type of book I would read anyway. And now if I'm going to watch the movie, but then, it's spoiled like...
It has to be art. Sorry.
This is why God created movies, Lizzie, so I don't have to read ancient books. You heard of a little thing called the Bible? Yeah, saw the movie. Just saying.
Bad about that one.
Okay, I've actually read them. But anyway, but my point is, and you're right, yes, the book has been out for a long time. The movie's been out for a long time. 1940, I get it. But I'm sitting there thinking,
it is kind of funny that you're in the middle of getting ready to watch that. Yeah,
got to be like the safest. Anyway, that's my rant. But yeah, so Rebecca, that not only was I kind of like, I guess I'll sit through it. Now I don't even get to appreciate the ending of this thing. How bad is it, Lou? What am I looking forward to here?
It's not bad. I'm almost done with the 1940s version. I've seen the 2020 version now. We finished that the other night. Okay. It's not my kind of movie, but it's definitely well done.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to having a discussion about the two different versions of this, and I think there's, interestingly enough, the acting was better in one, and I think the script was better in the other. But it'll be interesting to talk about.
I was looking at IMDb, not IMDb, might have been Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know. It was one of those two sites, and a lot of the critics have said that Rebecca was one of Hitchcock's best films, even though it's one I'd never heard of before. And then it's kind of interesting to me that someone would bother to remake a film by Alfred Hitchcock that critics are saying was one of his best films, even though I know they were trying to remake the book, not remake the movie. But
which I remember Robin saying that too. And I'm watching this movie and I'm going, it's almost shot for shot.
Is it?
Like, okay. At least as much as I've seen so far, but we'll talk about that more on Movie Chatter.
Okay.
I also started watching Superman and Lois. That started out last week. I think
did
was
it?
The first episode. Yep. I didn't catch it when I recorded it after the fact, repeated it, but got through the first episode. I'm going to stick with it, see where it goes. It's a different storyline than I thought it was going to be doing. And again, I don't know much about the Superman character over the years of what else he's done. So
what was that, Lizzie?
It's different than everybody thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the place they started out at, I'm like, oh, okay. I never thought of Superman as that kind of a character, but okay. So I'll give it a chance, see where it goes.
It's based on,
nothing,
if I'm correct,
nothing horrible about it.
The thing going on is based on something that happened in the comics fairly recently.
Okay. See, I never knew they dived into that part of his life in the comics.
It was weird in the comics, and I think this is like a loose adaptation of that. It's not really strictly sticking to. It's kind of like with the MCU. Like they base some of the storylines on stuff that happened in the comics, but they also like take it in a very different direction. But it hits kind of some of the same milestones. Well, this was kind of like I don't want to say like an alternate universe-y sort of thing, but there were other things going on. I'll just leave it at that. And we got to see like this aspect of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm like 95% of the way through the first episode. So I'll watch this. I'll keep going with it. I'm gonna have it recorded on DVR, and I'll keep going till I get bored. We'll see.
I was on a podcast for it.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Lizzie. You broke up.
Uh-oh.
Elizabeth.
Lizzie.
Maybe we lost her. Of course, if we lost her, she won't know that we lost her because she won't be able to hear us either.
She'll just keep talking.
I think
so,
Lizzie was saying
back.
it's awesome. Lizzie loves DC Universe stuff.
Anyway, also I'm watching WandaVision. We already talked about that. My rewatching
I was
stuff.
saying I was on a podcast
And
Don't
she's
keep
gone.
it in suspense. You were on a podcast and?
I was on a podcast for it on another network for the show Superman and Lois, and like life got in the way. But I was on it for like a year leading up to it because we didn't know like when it was going to come out, the pandemic and everything, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then as the lead up came in and the trailer came up, I was like, I literally will never watch this show. I can't be on this podcast. I hate this trailer so much, and I hate the direction they're going. I never want to watch this show. And so I had to tell them, like, I have to not be on this podcast because I'm literally never going to watch it.
So like I said, Lizzie was trying to say it's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I was way off the mark on that.
You were a little bit off. Yeah.
Superman has been my favorite superhero character forever, before the MCU came along. But I still would put him at like number probably in the top 3 of my favorite superheroes. And to me, it's very disappointing not to even want to watch it at all. I think Tyler does a great job as Superman. The whole premise is like what?
Okay.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
It is a very different premise. I'll give you that. Like I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with what they're doing with it. And yeah, you've really got to go in open-minded. And it's not even just open-minded. Like you have to be able to connect with the premise. It's not, people who don't connect with it aren't closed-minded. It's just like you've really got to throw away any connection you have going in. And if you're not willing to do that because you care about the characters in a certain way, then it's just, I don't see those people.
Yeah, I got about halfway into the first episode. I'm like, okay, not what I expected, but I'll see where it goes. So,
yeah.
Got farther than me, Lou.
For rewatching, I am on season 2 of Babylon 5 right now. I am loving the remastered versions on HBO Max. The imagery is very good. It's cool to see it in a remastered format. And I keep forgetting how good that story. I mean, I don't watch it all the time, but I keep going back to it and watching the series again and again and again. But you just knowing the story, you go back to it and you're in the first and second seasons. But as bad as the first season is, because the characters are finding themselves, the writing I don't think was that great in the first season. No. But you're still going, oh, they're setting so much stuff up that it's just I love it.
Yeah.
It's just a great series and a great storyline throughout. So
it is, in my opinion, one of the best science fiction series or franchises ever created. Like season 1's got flaws, but man, it's just such a good series.
But it's such a tight story, such a well-written, well-thought-out story. So.
And some of the best moments, like as far as dialogue goes, some of the speeches, like by Jakar or Sheridan or Delenn, like there are the dialogue in that show, and nobody was allowed to ad-lib anything. Like you had to read it exactly like it was on the page, and with good reason. Some of people talk about Aaron Sorkin being brilliant with dialogue. They got nothing on JMS, on Joe Michael Straczynski. Like it's gold. Anyway.
Let's see. Comics. I recently picked up a Comixology subscription and going through some older stuff there. I am happy I'm finally actually reading the Dr. Aphra series. I never actually read. I've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but never actually read it all. So I'm going through it now, and it's just I love it. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Book-wise, I am rereading Alphabet Squadron, and I'm going to read Shadowfall and Leading Up to Victory's Price, which comes out on Tuesday, I believe. But
oh wow,
I want to go through those.
Oh, I'm so far behind. I haven't read Shadowfall's the second one, right?
Yeah, I haven't read Shadowfall either. So I got to get through Alphabet Squadron again now. I'll read Shadowfall, and then I'll do Victory's Price. And good because Alphabet Squadron was a good book. So I'm very happy to get the third version of that coming out, so I'll go through all those. But that is all I've been up to. So
cool. All right.
Well,
I forgot about books.
What's that?
I forgot we were doing books now. I'm reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
We're kind of not, like, in the interest of like keeping the shows to a half hour, which
we failed.
We failed.
When's that
again.
Ever happened?
Yeah, so like we've thrown in a couple of things if it's something like momentous, like Ready Player 2 or whatever. Or like.
Well, I'm reading The Life of Addie LaRue, and it's very good.
Okay.
Nice.
And you would recommend it?
Well,
yes.
If you like poetry, it's very very poetic, and so it's like she basically gets a curse from the night gods that she is like has full freedom basically, which means that nobody can remember her. And then one day she meets somebody who has also made a wish. Yeah. One day she meets someone who has also made a wish to the night gods, and his wish is something different, but he can remember her. And so it's like the first time someone has remembered her in 300 years. And so it's very interesting, but it's the way it's written so lyrical. So you have to really have an appreciation for like lyricism and poetry, because it's the way the story is crafted. It's really good. It's just very specific, but it's beautiful.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Lou, do I take us out?
Well, sure, take us out.
All right, I'm going to try to make this quick because we're running long. We got one more show to do, though it'll be quick too. All right. Go to randomchatter.com for all of our audio podcasts. And then if you put a / at the end of that and type in Discord, you get our Discord server. You go to store and you get our store where you can pick up t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts with different show logos on them. Really cool stuff. If you go to randomchatter.com/Patreon, you can help support the network and become a member of Random Chatter, because the Random Chatter Network is a nonprofit organization. So any donation you make, you become a member of the Random Chatter Network, and that also opens up additional stuff in Discord. And if you go to randomchatter.com/YouTube, hit that subscribe and like button, and we would really appreciate that. You can see our main flagship shows here on YouTube, and there will be more shows coming in the future. And that is going to do it for this episode of Random Chatter. If you're in the chat with us live right now, which we do every Sunday night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, if you're live in the chat right now, stick around for just like a couple of minutes and we'll be back up with the next episode. Otherwise, we will see you again very, very soon. And until